I still remember the way people looked at me that day. Not with pity. Not with sympathy. With something worse, contempt mixed with certainty that they knew exactly who I was. I was standing in the lobby of Sterling and Cross, one of those glass tower buildings in downtown Chicago where even the air feels expensive. My daughter Emma was gripping my hand so tight her knuckles had gone white. She was 7. My son Liam, 9, stood on my other side, trying to look brave but failing. I could see the nervousness in the way he kept adjusting his backpack straps. We didn't belong there. That much was obvious from the moment we walked through those revolving doors. I was wearing my best shirt, the blue one I saved for parent-teacher conferences, and jeans I'd ironed that morning. The kids were clean, hair combed, shoes tied. But we still looked exactly like what we were, out of place. The security guard at the desk had already glanced at us twice. A woman in a charcoal suit walked past, her heels clicking against the marble, her eyes sliding over us like we were furniture. Another man in an expensive watch checked his phone and moved to the other side of the lobby, as if poverty might be contagious. I wasn't here for me. I was here because 3 weeks ago, Emma came home from school crying so hard she threw up. Her teacher had assigned a project: interview someone with an important job. Most kids pick their parents. Emma picked Mrs. Catherine Cross, the CEO of this company, because Mrs. Cross had come to their school for career day and Emma said she was the smartest person she'd ever met. Mrs. Cross had said yes. She'd sent an email through the school saying she'd love to meet Emma. She'd scheduled this appointment herself. But when we arrived, the receptionist looked at the three of us like we'd wandered in from the street asking for spare change. "Can I help you?" Her voice was polite, but her eyes were cold. "We have an appointment," I said. "With Mrs. Cross. At 10:30. She looked at her computer screen, then back at me. "Name?" "David Palmer. And my daughter Emma." Her fingers moved across the keyboard. She frowned. "I don't see anything here." She emailed the school directly. Emma's teacher set it up. The receptionist's mouth tightened. "Sir, Mrs. Cross is the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. She doesn't take unscheduled meetings." "It's scheduled," I said, keeping my voice calm. "I can show you the email. I'm sure there's been some misunderstanding." She wasn't even looking at me anymore. She was looking past me, at the next person in line. Emma's hand squeezed tighter. I glanced down and saw her eyes starting to water. Liam shifted closer to me, protective. "Please," I said. "Just call her office. Check with her assistant." The receptionist sighed, loud enough for the people behind me to hear. "Sir, I can't just call the executive floor every time someone walks in claiming they have a meeting." Heat crept up my neck, but I swallowed it down. I'd gotten good at swallowing things. Anger. Pride. The urge to tell people what I really thought. "I'm not claiming anything," I said. "I'm telling you we have an appointment." A man in a suit behind me cleared his throat. The receptionist's eyes flicked to him, then back to me. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to step aside. You're holding up the line." That's when I heard it. A small sound from Emma. Not quite a sob, but close. The sound she made when she was trying very hard not to cry in public. I crouched down so I was eye level with her. "Hey. It's okay. I'm sorry, Daddy." Her voice cracked. "I'm sorry I made you come here. You didn't make me do anything. This isn't your fault." Liam put his hand on her shoulder. "It's okay, Em. We can do a different project." I looked at my kids, these two small humans who'd already been through more than most adults, who'd lost their mother 3 years ago and had only me to hold on to, and something in my chest cracked. I stood up. Turned back to the receptionist. "Please. Just make one call. That's all I'm asking. But she'd already moved on to the man behind me, taking his badge with a smile she hadn't given us. I felt invisible. Worse than invisible. Visible in the wrong way, as the kind of person who didn't matter, who could be dismissed, whose daughter's disappointment was less important than the convenience of not making a phone call. We stood there for another minute. Then two people flowed around us like water around a stone. No one looked directly at us. No one asked if we needed help. I was about to take the kids and leave when the elevator doors opened. 3 children spilled out into the lobby. Triplets, identical, maybe 5 years old. They had matching backpacks shaped like ladybugs and were talking over each other in that way small children do, all excitement and no volume control. Behind them, trying to keep up, was a young woman in a blazer who looked like she was one meltdown away from quitting her job. "Girls, please, stay together," the woman said, but the triplets had already scattered in 3 different directions. One ran toward the reception desk. One headed for the revolving doors. The third stopped in the middle of the lobby and started crying because her shoe had come untied. The lobby was full of people. Dozens of them. Suits and ties and designer handbags and phones pressed to ears. Every single one of them saw those children. Every single one of them looked away. The woman chasing them looked panicked. "Excuse me, sorry, girls, come back." But nobody helped. They stepped around the child by the door. They ignored the one crying about her shoe. They treated those little girls like they were invisible, like helping would cost them something they couldn't spare. I watched one man in an expensive suit nearly trip over the crying girl, glance down in annoyance, and keep walking. Something in me snapped. Not into anger. Into clarity. I let go of Emma's hand. "Stay with your brother." I walked over to the little girl crying in the middle of the floor. She had dark curls and tears streaming down her face and a shoe that had come completely untied. I knelt down in front of her. She looked up at me with huge brown eyes, still crying. "Hey," I said softly. "It's okay. Want me to tie that for you?" She nodded, sniffling. I tied her shoe, double knotted it the way I did for Emma. "There. All better." "Thank you," she whispered. "What's your name?" "Sophie." "Hi Sophie. I'm Mr. Palmer. Are those your sisters?" She nodded again, wiping her eyes. "Okay. Let's go find them, yeah." I stood up and held out my hand. She took it without hesitation, the way children do when they trust you. We walked together toward the reception desk where one of her sisters was trying to climb onto a chair. "Hey there," I said to her. "You must be Sophie's sister." "I'm Mia." She pointed at the third girl, who was now trying to push through the revolving door by herself. "That's Zoe." "Your shoe's untied too," I said, noticing. "And Zoe's. Want me to fix them before someone trips?" The harried woman in the blazer had finally caught up. "Oh my God, thank you, I'm so sorry, they don't listen, and I'm just the assistant, I'm not." "It's okay," I said. "Kids are fast. I've got 2 of my own." I tied Mia's shoe, then we went and retrieved Zoe from the revolving door before she could escape onto the street. I tied her shoe too. All 3 girls stood in front of me now, considerably calmer. "Okay," I said. "Where are you supposed to be going?" "Upstairs," Sophie said. "To see Mommy." "Our mommy works here," Mia added proudly. "She's the boss of everything," Zoe said. The assistant looked mortified. "Their mother is Mrs. Cross. She's the CEO. I was supposed to bring them up 10 minutes ago but they ran away," Sophie finished cheerfully. I smiled despite everything. "Been there." That's when I heard Emma's voice behind me. "Daddy?" I turned. She and Liam had come closer, watching. "These are Mrs. Cross's daughters?" Emma asked, eyes wide. Triplets, I said. Emma looked at the three girls with something like awe. The girls looked back with equal curiosity. You're Emma, Sophie said suddenly. Mommy told us about you. You're coming to visit today. Emma nodded shyly. Mommy's really excited, Mia said. She never gets to meet kids from our school. The assistant's phone rang. She answered it, her face going pale. Yes, Mrs. Cross, I know, I'm so sorry, they got away from me, we're in the lobby, yes, right away. She hung up. She's coming down. The elevator doors opened again 30 seconds later. A woman stepped out. Mid-40s, dressed in a navy suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent, dark hair pulled back, walking fast. Catherine Cross. The CEO everyone in this building seemed to worship. Her eyes went straight to her daughters. Girls. Mommy. All three of them ran to her. She knelt down and they crashed into her, all talking at once. A nice man tied our shoes. His name is Mr. Palmer. He was really nice. Mrs. Cross looked up. Her eyes found me. I was still kneeling on the marble floor, exactly where I'd been when I tied Zoe's shoe. She stood up slowly, studying me. Then she looked at Emma and Liam standing a few feet away. Then back at me. You're Emma's father, she said. Yes, ma'am. How long have you been waiting? I hesitated. About 15 minutes. Her jaw tightened. She turned to the receptionist. They had a 10:30 appointment. I scheduled it myself. The receptionist's face went white. I didn't see, I thought. You thought what? Mrs. Cross's voice was quiet, but it carried. The lobby had gone silent. Everyone was watching now. The receptionist opened her mouth. Closed it. No words came out. Mrs. Cross looked at the security guard. Did you ask if they needed help? The guard shifted uncomfortably. No, ma'am. She looked around the lobby. At all the people in their expensive suits who'd walked past 3 lost children without stopping. Who'd looked at me and my kids like we were a problem to be avoided. I saw everything, she said. From the elevator camera. I was running late because of a board call. I watched my daughters run into this lobby. I watched every single person here ignore them. Every one of you saw 3 5-year-old children unsupervised and you walked past them. You couldn't be bothered to stop. To help. To care. The silence was absolute now. Except one person, she continued. One person knelt down. One person made sure my children were safe. One person treated them with kindness. She looked at me again. The same person you all ignored. The same person you made wait. The same person my receptionist tried to turn away. I could feel the weight of every eye in that lobby. Mr. Palmer, Mrs. Cross said, I apologize on behalf of everyone here. Please, come upstairs. You and Emma and, she looked at Liam. Liam, I said. And Liam. All of you. She turned to her assistant. Take them to my office. Get them anything they want. Coffee, water, snacks for the kids. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Then she turned to the receptionist. Come with me. We need to talk. The assistant led us to the elevator. The triplets came with us, chattering the whole way up, telling Emma and Liam about their school and their rooms and their pet hamster named Princess Sparkles. Mrs. Cross's office took up half the top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. A desk that looked like it cost more than my car. But also, drawings on the walls. Crayon pictures signed Sophie, Mia, and Zoe. A bookshelf with children's books mixed in with business texts. A basket of toys in the corner. She keeps those here for us, Sophie said, following my gaze. For when we visit after school. The assistant brought water and juice boxes and a plate of cookies. The kids sat together on a couch, the triplets showing Emma and Liam their drawings while I stood by the window trying to process what had just happened. When Mrs. Cross came in, she closed the door behind her. "I meant what I said downstairs," she told me. "Thank you for helping my daughters. Anyone would have done it." "Clearly not." She sat down, gestured for me to do the same. "Tell me about yourself, Mr. Palmer." "There's not much to tell. Emma's teacher said you're raising 2 children on your own." "That's not nothing." I looked at my kids on the couch. Liam had his arm around Emma, both of them laughing at something Mia was saying. "Their mother passed away 3 years ago," I said quietly. "Cancer. She fought for 18 months. We did everything the doctors said. It wasn't enough." Mrs. Cross's expression softened. "I'm sorry. After she died, I had to figure out how to be both parents. I was working at a manufacturing plant, 60 hours a week. It was good money but terrible hours. I kept missing things. School events. Bedtimes. Emma's first loose tooth. I was there for my kids physically but I wasn't there, you know?" She nodded. "So I quit. Found a job as a night janitor at an office building. 8 to 4 in the morning. It pays less but I'm home when they wake up. I take them to school. Pick them up. Make dinner. Help with homework. And on nights I work, my neighbor checks on them. It's not perfect, but it's what we have." "That's why you came to this meeting," she said. "Even though I'm sure you had other things to do. Emma was so excited when you said yes. She practiced her interview questions for a week. Wrote them out in this little notebook. She wants to be like you when she grows up." Mrs. Cross smiled. "Then we should do this interview properly. Emma?" She called across the room. "Ready to start?" Emma's face lit up. She grabbed her notebook and came over, suddenly shy again. For the next hour, Mrs. Cross answered every one of Emma's questions with the same attention she probably gave to board members. She talked about how she started as an intern. How she worked her way up. How she became CEO. How she balanced work and being a mom. "It's the hardest thing I've ever done," she told Emma honestly. "Being a good mom and a good leader. Some days I feel like I'm failing at both. But then my girls do something amazing, or my team accomplishes something incredible, and I remember why I keep trying." Emma wrote everything down, her handwriting careful and serious. When it was over, Mrs. Cross walked us back to the elevator herself. The lobby was still quiet when we passed through. The receptionist was gone. The security guard nodded respectfully. Outside, Mrs. Cross knelt down to Emma's level. "You're going to do great things," she said. "I can tell." Emma hugged her. A spontaneous, fierce hug that made Mrs. Cross's eyes go bright. When she stood up, she handed me a business card. "My direct number is on the back. If you or your kids ever need anything, call me." "We're okay," I said. "I know you are. But just in case." We rode the train home in silence for a while. Then Liam said, "Dad?" "Yeah, bud? You were really brave in there." "I just tied some shoes." "No," Emma said. "You were brave. Everyone was being mean to us and you didn't get mad. You just helped those little girls instead." I put my arms around both of them. "You know what I learned today?" "What?" they asked together. "People will judge you by what you look like. What you wear. What they think they know about you. And most of the time, they'll be wrong. But if you stay kind, if you help people even when no one's watching, that's what matters. That's who you are." Emma leaned against me. "I love you, Daddy." "I love you too, sweetheart." That night, after the kids were asleep, I sat in the kitchen with a cup of coffee going cold in my hands. I kept thinking about that lobby. About the way people looked through us. About the way they avoided those 3 little girls like helping would cost them something precious. I thought about the email that arrived while I was making dinner. From Mrs. Cross. "Mr. Palmer," it said. "I hope you don't mind, but I did some checking. The manufacturing company you used to work for has an opening in their safety compliance department. Day shift. Better pay than you were making before. Better benefits. I know the plant manager. If you're interested, I can make an introduction. No pressure. Just wanted to return the kindness you showed today. Catherine." I read it 3 times. I didn't answer. Not yet. I didn't want her to think I'd helped her kids because I wanted something. I hadn't. I'd done it because they needed help and I was there. But maybe, I thought, that's exactly why she offered. Because she knew I hadn't done it for reward. Because she understood what it meant to be a parent doing everything you could with what you had. 2 weeks later, I got the job. Day shift. Home for dinner. Weekends off. For the first time in 3 years, I didn't have to choose between being present and making rent. Emma's project got an A. She presented it to her whole class, told them about meeting Mrs. Cross, about the triplets, about the interview. Afterward, she told me that 3 other kids asked if she could help them find people to interview too. "I told them to ask you," she said. "Because you always help people." I didn't feel like someone who always helped people. I felt like someone who was drowning most days, barely keeping my head above water, hoping my kids didn't notice how hard I was swimming. But maybe that's what helping looks like sometimes. Not grand gestures or dramatic rescues. Just kneeling down when someone needs their shoe tied. Just showing up when you said you would. Just being kind when it would be easier not to be. The triplets sent Emma a card. All 3 of them had signed it with their names in wobbly letters. Inside it said, "Thank you for sharing your daddy. He's a really good daddy." I kept that card on the refrigerator. Right next to Emma's perfect score on her project. Right next to Liam's drawing of our family, 3 people holding hands under a bright yellow sun. People still judge me sometimes. They see a single dad with 2 kids and they make assumptions. But I've stopped caring what strangers think. The people who matter know who I am. My kids know. And on the hard days, when I'm tired and overwhelmed and wondering if I'm doing enough, I remember that lobby. I remember 3 little girls who needed help. I remember kneeling down. I remember my kids watching. And I remember that kindness doesn't cost anything. It doesn't require wealth or status or the right clothes. It just requires paying attention. Seeing people. Choosing, in that moment, to care. That's what I want my kids to learn. Not that the world is fair, because it isn't. Not that people will always see them clearly, because they won't. But that they can choose, every single day, to be the person who kneels down. Who helps. Who sees others the way they want to be seen. 3 words, I'd said to Sophie in that lobby. Want me to? Such small words. But sometimes the smallest words open the biggest doors. I still have Mrs. Cross's card. I've never had to use the number on the back. But I keep it anyway, tucked in my wallet behind a picture of my kids. A reminder that good things happen when you least expect them. That being kind costs nothing but can mean everything. That sometimes, when everyone else is walking past, all it takes is one person willing to stop. To kneel down. To care. 3 words. That's all it took. Want me to. And everything changed.